Hi there, my name's Ben. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use and set up my DJ mixing microphone. So basically, as a drum and bass MC, I want to be able to mix as well, so to have complete control over the composition that I'll be performing over. To use that, I'm going to be using the Nintendo Wii as a MIDI controller, and as you can see on the screen, I'm going to be using Ableton and Junxion. So in Ableton, what you want to do is I've got 5 lanes that I'm using for my audio samples and 1 lane that I'm using for my vocal. In the audio lanes, what I've done is I've taken samples from drum and bass packs, because drum and bass is what I work with, it's the music I know best, but you can use garage, you could use hip hop or any other type of music that you like. And to do that, what I've done is I've just dropped some samples in, as you can see here, going across. And on the vocal channel, I have included a little bit of EQ and reverb just to make the vocal sound a bit brighter, and a looper as well. As in my last tutorial video about looper, you need to change the quantization, the song control and the tempo control to none. Also, I'm adding a ping pong delay effect. So on one of your sends, I'd chuck in a ping pong delay. I'm using ping pong because I think it sounds nice. Now what you want to do is go over to Junxion, because this is where we start programming all of the commands that are going to map into Ableton. So to play the music samples, I want to use the crosshairs, the up and down, the left and the right on my controller, and I also want to be able to stop the sample straight away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the left, the up, the right and the down, and once I drag those in, I go to actions and I'm going to change that to play lane 1, play lane 2, play lane 3 and play lane 4. Then to stop them, I'm going to use the A button, the minus, the home and the plus. So I drag the A, the minus, the home and the plus in, and I changed the names of those to stop lane 1, stop lane 2, stop lane 3 and stop lane 4. Now I want to be able to control the amount of delay that's going to happen with the ping pong, and I want that to be controlled by the X axis on the Nintendo Wii remote. So I'm going to grab the acceleration X and drop it into the sensor, and I've changed mine to ping pong amount. You then go down to change data via table. Here you'll be putting new table, and that will take you to this. Now in this you can see where it scales to. Just click auto scale and that will sharpen up the movement on the x-axis. Now something I want to help with the x-axis is I only want that to work when I press a button. So namely, this is going to be my key command. When I press button 2, I'll be able to control the x-axis. If I release button 2, the x-axis won't work. So to do that, I get button 2, drag that in, and I'm going to label that ping pong on or off. I then go down to generate output to never, and then go store data in a table to variable 1. You then need to return to your ping pong amount, so the x-axis one, go down to generate output, and if variable is equal to, and put variable 1, and move the slider over to 127. And what that means is when the button is pressed in, it will send a signal which will allow for the x-axis to work. Okay, so that's your main state one. I've also got in lane 5 audio samples, so a vocal sample and some scratching samples. So for me in state 1, I'm going to be using the B button to control that, and I want it to play when I press it in and stop when I release the button. So I'm going to drag 2 B buttons in, and the first one I'm going to call play fire sample, so I need to turn the behavior to switch on. And the second one I'm going to call stop fire. I need to change the behavior to switch off, and then the velocity to a fixed value of 127. And what that means is when the button's released, it sends a MIDI signal which recognises it as data, and yeah, it will stop the music. Stop the sample, sorry. Now, to move into another state, so to control the second line of music, I want to go to state 2. And so to do that, I'm going to use button 1, which is this button, and I'm going to use that as my state change. So I've called mine state 2 because that's where I'm going to move to. You move down to output, junction state change, and move the slider over to number 2. So I've got my left, my up, my right, and my down, and I've labelled them as play part 2 lane 1, play part 2 lane 2, play part 2 lane 3, and play part 2 lane 4. With the lane 5, the sort of extra added sample, I'm going to be using the minus button this time, and this time I want the double action, so I want to play the sample when it pressed in and stop the sample when I release it. So again, I've got two minus buttons in, and again I've just done the switch on, and to turn it off, switch off, change the fixed value to 127, and excuse me, to change up into the third state, so to control this third line of music there, I'm going to use the plus button. So I drag the plus button in there, I've called it hip hop finale, but let's just change that to state 3 to make it easier. And I go to junction state change and just change the slider to 3, as you can see. Now in this state, I want to be able to have control over the looper that we set up in the vocal channel on Ableton, and to do that I'm going to use the same button as I did in my previous tutorial on setting up loopers. So I'm going to want my loop to start when I press the A button in, record my loop, and then when I release it I want it to play the loop, and I'm probably going to want to stop that loop at any time by using the B button. So I'm going to drag 2 A buttons in, again with the A buttons, switch on, and then on the second one switch off, velocity to a fixed value 127, and the B button, drag it in and just action name it as stop looper. Now a big DJ thing that's is used quite a lot is to stop the music, to kill the music, like an added tension, a pause. So I want to be able to control that via the Wii remote. I want to be able to stop the music, and when I release the button I want it to all kick back in again. So I'm going to drop 2 button 2s in, and I'm going to call mine kill and jump start. So the first one I'm going to call kill, so you turn it to a switch on, and then on the second one I'm going to call it jump start and switch the behavior to off, again fixed value 127. What that'll do is we'll stop the music, and then when I release it, pow, and get it to play again. Okay, so that's the second state all set up. I'm going to be using the plus button to move now into my third state. In the third state, again, I'm going to be triggering those samples with the up, down, the left and the right. This time I'm going to be using the B button to launch the vocal sample or the scratching sample in lane 5. But this time I'm not having a double response on the button. I'm just going to press it once so that it plays the sample, because if you move back down a state, when you press to launch another sample that's in the same lane, it will stop one sample and play the other. But that'd be back to state 2, and again just a junction state change and move the slider to 2. So basically you're now ready to map everything into Ableton. So you go into Ableton, click on MIDI. As before in my previous tutorial, when you click on the lane, you want to click on the actual sample, left, up, right and down to control the play of these, and then the stop buttons you want to move down here and stop, and what this does is stops the whole lane. Okay, then you need to map the x-axis. So remember to hold the button so that your x-axis is live and on, and you're mapping it to this here, this send. Once that's mapped, you'll be able to see that you can move things, and it should, there you go, you can see it's moving there. So if we go back to MIDI map, map up the B button, and you want this to be play and stop. So you press, hold it in, map it, then move down to your stop button here and release. Do the same for all the other states. When you get into state 2, you want to map your looper up. So you go into MIDI. As in before my previous tutorial, you're mapping, you go into map there, you're mapping the play, the record, the play and the stop button. So press, hold it in to map the record, release to wrap the play, and back to map the stop. Going into your third, all the same, map all the key commands by going into MIDI and choosing the play selectors. Now go back into state 2, and the big one you want is the kill and jump start. So you go into map, and this is where you want to, let's go into MIDI, this is where you map the stop and the play. So map the stop as the press in and the play as release, and what that does is stop everything and kick it all back in when you're ready. Okay, so that's my basic DJ sort of microphone system set up. So now I'm going to sort of give you a little demonstration of how it should work, and yeah, I hope you enjoy, and kind of hope it works right.
Yeah. Cheers. Oh gosh, he's having a good time. DSP. Oh God. Let's play this fire. Ooh. Jump, 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 jump.
the kill off, like I explained. 1, 2, 3.